In response, Epstein told MA3 not to worry, and that he's not going to kill himself right now. He's going to wait and see how Destiny responds to his $5 million demand, and then he'll decide after the holidays.
Could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the set?
Yeah, sure. If I
Pam, could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
He did work for...
Like, none of this is like serious. This is just all deeply, I don't know what am I even supposed to say? So now we move on from this. Like, do you understand that Trump has the power to dispel any conspiracy theory that he ever wants? Like, he just has to speak it out of existence and it'll be gone forever.
Well, I woke up this morning and turned my phone on and there were hundreds of text messages saying, oh my God, the DOJ just put out a letter that I know you've all seen now saying there is no Epstein client list. There never was any blackmail operation. Epstein killed himself and the investigation's closed. So everybody wants to know what I think. Well, I know what's going on. And so I'll tell you. Trump had two ways to go with all of this. He could prosecute all of these incredibly prominent people, household names, or they could use the information to blackmail the deep state. I've done deep research, have a lot of contacts, and know Trump's MO. And he's not into kids. He's not into being peed on and Russian hotels. All that was lies. We now know from the CIA and Brennan and the very crew running the Epstein operation. But the reason that you are seeing this deep sixth is because the CIA with the Mossad and MI6 was running Epstein. And it was an official U.S. government operation, multinational. And it was the family business going back to Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. And that's all on record. So if Trump was to actually prosecute this, it would bring down the CIA. And so that's why you've had Comey, who controlled the files over at the FBI with the CIA, but on that end of the DOJ, having his daughter do all the main cover-ups, not just with the Epstein and Maxwell case, but obviously P. Diddy and the rest of it. So this is the swamp winning. The question is Trump's DOJ actually using this to control the deep state? Or are they just so overwhelmed by it, they are tapping out? Because, let me explain logic here. And from all obvious inside sources, we're the ones that broke with the FBI whistleblowers, O'Boyle and others, Seraphin, all of this that was first unfolding, 5 months ago when they were supposed to, have this 14 terabytes. They'd sent it out to the FBI field offices for investigation. And Pam Bondi went on Fox a bunch of times. So did some U.S. attorneys from New Jersey and said, oh, yeah, we've seen it, hundreds of victims and video.
Since you think he killed himself, do you believe the DOJ statement yesterday? Yeah, I think if you read the federal prisons report, I think it's pretty compelling. I think he almost certainly killed himself. I think the state of that prison was in a pretty sad state of affairs. I think that it's, yeah.
And all this horrible stuff, kids being raped. Hundreds of new victims were going to be releasing it. So you wouldn't say all that if you were planning to cover it up from the beginning. So something has changed along the way, and it all points towards this being used to black.
That's not what the statement said yesterday. What's the statement yesterday? CoffeeZilla is running with the missing minute narrative. I haven't heard about this at all yet.
The deep state. I'm not endorsing it.
I don't know. I don't even know what the statement was. Sorry. Oh, I don't know. Maybe they put out a statement I wouldn't agree with, but I would check.
I think clearly this is what Musk learned about a few months ago and looked like he aged, 10 years overnight, looked completely freaked out. And then I think the conscience had to come out and say what he said. I mean, even people like Cat Turd, who is just the quintessence.
Do you think there is a list and that it matters anyway? No, I don't believe there's a list. The list is there. There is a huge obsession with people like Candace Owens or conservatives. There's an obsession that there is like a cabal of wealthy, elite, satanic, child fucker, blood drinking files that are all on some massive list. And the Diddy party stuff was all like, the Clintons and everybody coming in, the pedophile billionaires. Apparently, once you hit a certain threshold of money, I'm not there yet. I'll tell you what, if I ever get there, though, once you hit a certain threshold of money, you just have to start kids. And then you end up on some Epstein list. And everybody's like obsessed. Everybody's like obsessed with this narrative, this theory. Somebody said before that there was like a 12-year-old girl that supposedly had been like sexually abused by Epstein. Was that actually true? I feel like I asked for a court thing on that. Was that actually true? Did that actually happen? Or
Essential, will not question anything. And the Trump administration is completely freaked out now. I mean, no one is buying this. Patrick McDavid.
Next research arc needs to be Epstein. I did Epstein. I set aside like a week for it, but then we read the federal prisons report, and it was like, oh, fuck me, dude. The thing is, there's just like so many of the problem is that once you learn all of the facts, it's like way less compelling. I'm not going to redo this whole thing, but like the most damning piece of evidence is like the fact that the camera was turned off outside of his cell, like right before he supposedly killed himself, right? That's like one of the weirdest things. But then when you read that like recorded video evidence for August 9th and 10th for the SHU area where Epstein was housed was only available from one prison security camera due to a malfunction of MCC New York digital video recorder system that occurred on July 29th, 2019. While the prison's cameras continue to provide live video feeds, recordings were made for only about half the cameras. Like half the cameras in this place were fucked. I think there had already been a work order put in. Like this place was just, this prison had so much going on with it. There were so many issues. This place was just fucked. And the idea, and once you learn like how fucked everything was, it's just, I just think the circumstantial evidence here is just way less compelling. And as much as people don't like to hear it, I guess, like the main story is very compelling. An old dude who was incredibly wealthy, probably not that many years left to live, got mega busted on some, kitty fucking shit. Like this guy's life is over. Like, he probably just want to kill himself, None of the autopsies showed any convincing or compelling evidence of a struggle or of anybody else killing him. One woman tried to argue about some ligature snap or whatever, which ended up being bullshit. So like the autopsy is pretty consistent with like everything. It's like it makes sense. Well, I guess he wasn't that old, to be fair. I thought he was a little older, 66. But I think he was fucked, like criminally. I think pretty sure he was fucked.
Downs of it all. Jack Posobiec said, okay, so Ghislaine Maxwell is in it.
You never researched the trafficking claims. The most fantastical claims were made by a BPD queen and has never been claimed in court that Epstein trafficked minors for other people. Oh, I just had never seen evidence of that. Like this whole like Ghislaine, whatever Maxwell, like the client, I don't even know if those are real accusations. I've never seen anything. People can say whatever the fuck they want on social media. I know this personally now. But when it comes time to like say something in front of a court, you've seen this in my court case. You saw this with Giuliani and all the Trump election cases. We're not alleging fraud. When talking to a judge, it's just a totally different ball game when you have to actually start talking to the police, talking to court versus the random shit you can say on social media. Somebody talked about how him getting off for the crimes in like 2003 or something might be weird. It might be. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. But there's a whole list of reasons why people can get off on certain crimes that are unsatisfying to people because you just don't know how the criminal justice system works in general. We have a very, very, very high standard for criminal conviction. And like cutting deals and stuff is not uncommon, especially with crimes related to sex, unfortunately. But
innocent because she was found guilty of sex trafficking. So how do you say there's no trafficking or blackmail or any of this? It's just absolute horse on its face, and it's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Trump is doing a lot of good, and obviously the deep state's trying to destroy me for supporting him. It's been hell, and a lot of good.
Did Ghislaine do, I don't know what I'm saying, I should learn, do anything? Why is she locked up? I don't know. What was she charged with? I thought didn't she just help find people to, I thought she just helped find people for Epstein to fuck. Like Epstein would be like, go get me some chick from New York City to come and do a rub and tug. And Ghislaine or whatever would go and find some girl sometimes, I think one was 17 or something. This is what I saw. She participated in the sex. Was that the case? I thought that she was the one who went and fetched people sometimes. Okay, they charged her with 6 federal crimes, including enticement of minors, sex trafficking of children, and perjury. Okay, yeah. This sounds right. Oh, and this is between 94 and 97. Oh, and the youngest was 14, not 17, for what she was charged with. Were all of these people to Epstein or to other people as well? How did Epstein make his money? I don't know. How did... Like, people want to... There's like... I don't know how to explain this. This is like the conspiracy theorist, like, goalpost run, where you take a person with like 100 facts about their life, and then if you can't explain every single fact of their life, that must mean that their conspiracy is true. And it's like, I don't know. Does there have to be a cabal or conspiracy for there to be a list and some blackmail? I mean, if there's literally no evidence for it, it's kind of hard to. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Like,
It's happening. I'll say this. This is very, very painful and nauseating. I'm actually physically nauseated.
If the camera didn't work, what footage did they release?
That's 3 hours since I got
I don't know. I haven't seen. Well, look, I mean, maybe it's in here. Oh, 10-hour Epstein video.
When I saw the information, I've talked about the different scenarios here.
That's boring. I don't care about this. Epstein footage missing 1 minute. Is there a link to the full footage? Okay, so this is funny enough. If you actually read the original report, this would actually be very strange, because in the original FBI, or not the FBI, it's not FBI, it's like federal prisons, I thought that this footage didn't exist. They said they didn't have footage of the doors to his cell. They only had footage from like across the hall or something. That's not his cell? Oh, wait, if his cell is across the room, then this is consistent with the report. Oh, it is. Okay, that is the, okay. Hold on, let me see if I can find his cell is around the corner. Yes, okay. That would be consistent then with the, I think they have a, I think they even draw a diagram. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. So about half of the cameras in this prison weren't recording, and the only footage that they had recorded was from around well, I guess you see it in this footage here. But like I think his cell is like one of these, and this camera that we're looking at right now must be running like over here or something. So you could kind of see like across the hall or something, but you can't see right outside of his jail cell. If you change to video 2, you get a slightly different video without the filter. Weird. Go to figure 6.2 on page 87. Oh, this is the camera we're looking out. Is it? Is this the one? 46 here, 46 here. So we're looking at this camera here. And then Epstein's cell is across the hallway to the right. Correct. Okay. All right. Yeah, well, that's consistent, I guess, then with, okay. I guess we'll just watch the abridged version. 7:49 p.m. Jeffrey Epstein in orange jumpsuit is led to his cell by guards on August 9th, 2019. 10:38 p.m. Guard walks in the direction of Epstein's cell. Guard reappears from area of Epstein's cell, believed to be the last time anyone saw Epstein alive. 6:28 a.m. Guard delivers what appears to be food trays. Guards seen moving back and forth between the area of Epstein's cell and the common area. More guards enter the common area, presumably after the discovery of the body. Wow. That's crazy, Chad.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today
I'm good. Okay, what's the conspiracy that we're doing here?
Talking about the 1 minute that's missing from Jeffrey Epstein's footage. We're talking about the mystery man that appears after lockdown. Who is it? We'll try to get into it because it's not mentioned in the 2023 OIG report. Now, just yesterday, we already talked about the DOJ FBI memo that was obtained by Axios saying that Epstein killed himself, that you guys should stop making conspiracy theories because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino would never lie to you. Even though previously they said, yeah, it's probably, there's a cover up. Now they're saying there definitely is no cover up. And
the thing that's going to be frustrating, it's not frustrating anymore because I don't give a fuck anymore about anything. If I still cared, the frustrating thing would be you guys should be mad about the Epstein stuff. But what you should be mad about isn't that, wow, oof, they're in government now and they control all of it and they can't blame the deep state anymore. So looks like there's no more conspiracy. What you should be mad about is all the retarded shit they said before with no evidence, right? Remember, I said there's a significant difference between what you say under oath or when you're being scrutinized versus what you say in the media. What you say in the media is whatever the fuck you want to say, whatever's like the coolest, most juicy thing to say at that particular point in time.
We got a lot to talk. This Epstein thing really kind of like...
This is the deputy director of the FBI, or the guy right underneath Kash Patel now, right?
It's like a tick burrowing under my skin. I get a call. Let's go. Yeah, this is going to get hairy. You guys ready?
Yes.
No more super. This is like live YouTube. You ready for this? I don't know if you guys are ready. I get a call, I don't know, about 4 years ago. It's from, let's say, a friend. Prior line of work thing, right? Guy says, listen. And this guy who calls me is an unimpeachable source. This guy's not like some ham and egg or tomato can guy throwing out some theory about a UFO he saw 73 years ago, whatever. This is like a legit no-nonsense guy. Guy you trust with your, wife, kid, and car, right? He says, I got sent on a temporary assignment once. And on that assignment, I got sent out with on the WCD detail, William Clinton detail. And I knew this guy well. And he says, Dan, I got to share this with someone. He's like, go on a plane, and Bill, Clinton gets on the plane with this guy, and it turns out later the guy's Epstein. Now, this guy I'm talking to, this source, he don't know who, Jeffrey Epstein is. He's just getting on the plane doing the thing, the whole, protection gig, right? He says, I get on the plane, and there's these girls who are obviously not of age who are on this plane. They're clearly young. These are not women. These are girls. And he says, I see Clinton disappear into the back he goes, I don't know what happened. I'm not saying what happened because all I know is he disappeared and these girls were back there or whatever. And he said they land at the next stop, wherever it was. And he goes up to the boss on the detail and he says, I ain't getting back on this plane. Because he's a temp.
Not to be, again, listen, I'm not here to virtue signal. I don't give a fuck any of that shit, okay? Are there older guys who will fuck, 18, 19-year-olds? For sure. Of course. Are there older guys that'll fuck 16 or 17-year-olds that look, like they could be 18, 19? Yeah, there are. Whether people are willing to admit it or not, it's probably a decent chunk of the male population. I'll take the Mr. Girl position there. But when you start talking about fucking, now he's saying obviously on girls, I don't know, but when you start talking about fucking preteens, actual pedophile shit, this is not, I don't think a majority of men, I don't think over 5% of men are going to be like, oh yeah, I'll fuck that 11 or 12-year. That's a totally different level of crazy weird shit. This idea that there are so many of these billionaire super pedophiles is just we haven't found any of them yet, really.
He's not used to whatever Clinton was up to with the whole shenanigans thing. And this guy's clear as the driven snowman. He don't want to mess around with this. He says whatever just happened back there, I don't want any piece of it. They sent him home. They sent that guy home, and he was never tempted that detail again. Now remember all those Blackberries on that detail. Here's where the story gets super weird.
I'm sorry, I'm half following this. This guy was what, Secret Service or FBI or what? They have random people on detail watching the president of the United States fuck kids, and that was their cover up, is to just, oh, don't worry, we won't make you watch him or know that he's fucking kids again. What?
The guy tells me, months or a couple weeks later, when you lose property in the Secret Service, an email goes out, say hey, I lost his phone, and it gets logged into NCIC or whatever it is, and everybody knows. So basically, if you find this guy's gun, God forbid, or his phone, it's now effectively stolen property, right? All of a sudden, all the Blackberries on that detail for the agents start showing up oh, this guy lost his Blackberry. Holy shit, wow, that's so crazy. How'd that happen? I'm like, no. He says, yes. He says it was the craziest thing. Oh, look, Agent Joey Bag of Donuts, missing Blackberry. This is around the whole time, the Clinton thing's going on. So fast forward this story, right? He tells me that about a year and a half after that, I'm in a green room at Fox, and I'm not going to say who because they didn't give me permission to share it, but the short story, but I know who they are. It says, Epstein's an intelligence asset for people in the Middle East, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know that. I'm like, you sure of that? The person, let's say, is I'm absolutely sure of that he's either a witting or unwitting asset, intelligence asset, meaning his plane and that island, the cameras, there's a big assumption out there that these videotapes were exclusively in the custody of Epstein. That's a huge mistake. The reason they wanted this story to go away is because there's an assumption oh yeah, Epstein had him. No, he wasn't the only one who had him, according to this source. These assets, that's why this blackmail story makes so much sense. Which Middle Eastern countries they are, I don't know, but this person, who's a very, very good reporter, aces, right, swore Epstein was either a witting or unwitting intelligence.
Keep in mind that when these guys are saying this is a trustworthy person, this guy was a good reporter, they could literally be talking about a dude that writes for Breitbart, right? These guys think that those people are really great, really good reporters. They could be talking about people think that Matt Taibbi and Schellenberg are still phenomenal reporters, okay? They think that Glenn Greenwald is a phenomenal reporter. So
asset, and they may have had his plane wired up, and they're the ones who have all this stuff. So the point is, to sum it up, how do you know some of these countries aren't going to some of these power players who aren't making decisions? Hey, you wouldn't want this video out there, right? How do you know?
100%. Let's get personal with Mr. Gates, though. If this is a story of an adult man having adult relations with an adult female outside of his marriage, is it the biggest deal in the world that needs to be made public? You know what I mean? What I'm interested in is the underage stuff, the creepos, that evidence coming out. I'm worried that they're doing this with the Bill Gates thing as red meat, oh, look, oh, yeah. And it's it's not a criminal issue. It's a personal scandal. It's oh, wow, Bill Gates looks bad. But what about the Maxwell stuff? What about the actual client list? I don't think we should be satisfied by what we're hearing, and we should obviously want more.
I think you're totally right. I think that the actual crimes that they committed, while they are bad, I don't think that's the worst thing that's going on. I think the things that they're being blackmailed to cover up is probably worse than the crimes that they committed. Well, as bad as they are,
Cash and Dan are being largely discredited as well as Pam Bondi. So I have no idea what this is or what's really going on. I think the best estimate, the best estimate is, I think Cernovich was saying this. What do you think they were doing the past several years? The reason there's no evidence is not that Pam and Cash and Dan are covering it up.
Oh, it said it was all being deleted or something. Maybe was that it?
It's that the Democrats covered it up a long time ago.
Like, just think about how fucking stupid this is. So we're powerful enough to. It can't be everything. You can't have all the power at some times and then none of the power other times. So we're powerful enough to have a billionaire, get him out of jail for free in 2000 or whatever when he got caught the first time. He's blackmailed all the rich people. He's able to stay out of prison and cover everything up. We're able to kill him in federal prison when we need him executed, even though I don't know why he would have even been arrested. I don't know why we ever arrested him. Can't we just tell the cops not to arrest him? Why would we do that? Or why would we charge him with ththese big crimes? Can't we make up like an IRS crime? Why would we charge him publicly with the pedophile thing, letting everybody know the pedophile list exists? And then, but then, okay, fine. Well, we'll murder him in prison because we have the power to kill him in a federal prison, but we don't have the power to tell the feds not to arrest him, I guess. That seems like it'd be a lot easier. Why wouldn't we just kill him in his house? Why wouldn't we just throw him out of his plane or make his plane crash or a million other ways to kill him less conspicuously than in a federal prison? Okay, well, whatever. So, fine. We do that. Okay. Well, we kill him, so we took care of that. Oh, shit. But what about all of the ongoing investigation stuff? Well, we're going to have to delete the evidence of that, but not all the evidence. But we're strong enough to get rid of most of the evidence, but not all of it. And then somehow Pam Bondi gets wind that there was like, it's just so stupid. Like, none of this makes, like, what's happening here? Hello? And keep in mind, none of this is being pinned on Trump, who was president when Epstein died. Like, whatever.
In fact, the FBI director, Kash Patel, went on Joe Rogan to tell everybody, you guys are crazy, and we're going to release the inside the jail cell footage proving it.
And you're going to get the video of the cell, and you're going to see for yourself. And we will never be able to convince everyone.
Ooh, I didn't hear him say that originally. Conservatives could have roasted me on that because, like I said, I read that federal prisons report, and they said they didn't have that footage. And if they would have had that footage, that would have been kind of weird. I don't know why they would have it now when they said it before, but they don't have that footage. So he's lying here. He either hasn't seen it, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, or he's retarded.
So apparently we're going to get footage of the cell, which is why when the DOJ dropped a 10-hour video during the...
Is CoffeeZilla Epstein crazy since Red Cabinet? No, most people just don't know any of the facts about anything, unfortunately. I want to talk to that Peter guy so badly. The same thing with this COVID stuff. Like nobody knows the facts about anything. So it's very easy for everything to be a conspiracy when you don't know the facts. Like I said, if you've read that FBI, or I keep saying FBI, I need to stop doing this. If you've read that federal... Stop! You don't need to be up there! Why do you need to be up there? Hey, there's literally nothing up there. There was no reason for you to jump on that. Stop. You're trying to traumatize me. Don't do it. Jesus. Sorry if I'm spamming this question, but why are lefties and fellow libs like CoffeeZilla now trying to say the conspiracy is true? It's so stupid. Well, no, I think everybody believes this conspiracy. Everybody hates billionaires and rich people and the wealthy elite, and so it's a story that everybody wants. But if you read this Office of Inspector General report on the prison stuff, it's like I get it. Yeah, it's not satisfying, or well, it doesn't satisfy the conspiratorial part. But it's like the Peter guy knows about AJW. Oh no, does he praise AJW? And before the guy's a massive Trump supporter somehow. But like when you read this, it's like, that prison sucked. That prison was fucked. There was a lot of dumb shit going on. They interviewed a lot of other cellmates. They find out that finally the medical examiner who performed the autopsy detailed for the OAG why Epstein's injuries were more consistent with and indicative of a suicide by hanging rather than a homicide by strangulation. The medical examiner also told the OIG that the ligature furrow was too broad to have been caused by the electrical cord of the medical device in Epstein's cell, and that blood toxicology tests revealed no medications or illegal substances were in Epstein's system. The medical examiner also noted the absence of debris under Epstein's fingernails, marks on his hands, contusions to his knuckles, or bruises on his body that would have indicated Epstein had been a struggle. Which would be expected if Epstein's death had been a homicide by strangulation. It's not the first time that the OIG has found significant job performance and management failures on the part of BOP, which I believe is the Federal Bureau of Prisons, personnel, and widespread disregard for BOP policies that are designed to ensure that inmates are safe, secure, and in good health. For instance, the OIG's December 2022 investigation and review of the BOP's handling of the transfer of James Whitey Bulger identified serious job performance and management failures at multiple levels within the BOP. Similar to the Bulger the report, the numerous and serious transgressions that occurred in this matter came to light largely because they involved a high-profile inmate. The fact that serious deficiencies occurred in connection with high-profile inmates like Epstein and Bulger is especially concerning, given that the BOP would presumably take particular care in handling the custody and care of such inmates. Regrettably, the OIG has encountered similar issues on many other occasions. For example, the OIG has investigated numerous allegations related to the falsification of official BOP documentation concerning inmate counts and rounds, several of which have resulted in criminal prosecution, meaning that they would so some people were like, they lied. They said that they went to check on them and they lied about it. And it's like, yeah, they do that all the time, apparently, right? They interviewed other inmates and they're like, yeah, these motherfuckers never come around or ask shit. Oh, Bulger's the pronunciation, yeah. Or like sometimes the guards will give a shit that we're not supposed to have or whatever. It's just like dumb shit. The OIG currently has 2 open investigations into allegations of falsified inmate count and round documentation, each involving an inmate death by suicide and homicide or escape from a BOP facility. The investigation interview also revealed the direct impact of insufficient staffing levels on inmate safety. Witnesses repeatedly told the OIG that counts, rounds, cell searches, and other methods of inmate accountability were not undertaken because correctional staff were working multiple shifts, including one staff member who worked 24 hours straight, who were tired and overwhelmed with other duties. As discussed in greater detail in our recommendations, the OIG has repeatedly found the need for BOP to address staffing shortages. Most recently, in March 2023, the OIG found that the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the effects of pre-existing BOP medical and non-medical staffing shortages, an issue the OIG has identified as a concern for the BOP since at least 2015. Further, the OIG has repeatedly found that BOP personnel have not consistently been attentive to the needs of inmates at risk for suicide. In this investigation, that inattention manifested in the failure of MCC New York staff and supervisors to ensure that Epstein was assigned a cellmate as required by the MCC New York Psychology Department directive issued after the July 23, 2019 incident in which Epstein was discovered in his cell with an orange cloth around his neck. In a March 2023 report, the OIG found that BOP psychology staff did not assess the suitability of single cell assignments for 5 of the 7 inmates who died by while in COVID-19 quarantine units between March 2020 and April 2021. The OIG's 2017 report on the BOP's use of restrictive housing for inmates with mental illnesses also note that single celling may present risks to inmate mental health, and both of the recommendations from that report regarding the use and oversight of single celling remain open as of March 2023. But yeah, the whole report is like, it is fucked. But if you know, like, if you've even, I say know the underlying facts. If you've just read this report, it's like, oof, okay, shit is fucked. But nobody knows any of these facts. Everybody thinks that Epstein was in a cell, the cameras turned off just outside of his cell for a minute while he killed himself. There were marks all over his body because the autopsy showed it was a homicide and a struggle. He was given a ton of things that he shouldn't have by officials that wanted him dead, that cops like covered it. Like, it's just like a whole bunch of like bad facts, unfortunately. But
footage of the cell, which is why when the DOJ dropped a 10-hour video.
Oh, so like for this, like there was, well, see, what CoffeeZilla should point out here is they said that there was no footage of the cell because those SHU, the recording units, weren't active for like half the cameras. Like they only had one in Epstein's area that could even film anything, and it was, you couldn't even see a cell from there. But he doesn't know the underlying report. And again, I don't necessarily fault CoffeeZilla for this. I don't expect him to read through like this, but
during the time of Epstein's death, people understandably thought this was footage of his cell. Here's what this looks like. It's CCTV footage, but this is not actually Epstein's cell, nor is this door. This is footage of a common area. Epstein's door is way back over here in the corner. You can't see it from this footage angle, but you'd understandably not know that because of the way Kash Patel made it sound. He made it sound like, we're definitely dropping the real video. You're going to get outside a periscope view of Epstein's cell.
Because Kash probably just didn't know. He hadn't checked into it yet. Or he's just, I don't know.
There's just no way that you could have run an op and had people go into that cell and not have any video of it and not have any people come out and say, hey, yeah, I saw that guy. He shouldn't have been there, the guard or this guy. There's just no access points into places like this in the detention center he was in. If they had gotten into the cell, you...
What? Jake the Ace, what's up? What do you want? With the Joe Rogan clip, wasn't he already the FBI director? Yeah, but that doesn't guarantee that he's looked into it at all. What's up?
What's up? I think you should take some more time to look into this.
What's give me the single most compelling piece of evidence?
No, I don't. I think you're 100% right on like everything, like on the main points. But I think you should just take time to be able to debate it more if you're going on Pierce tomorrow.
Well, I don't think this is coming up at all. It's going to be about the lake shit.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I feel
If
like
I was
this
going to
is be
hardcore debate this, I would probably revisit that FBI report, and I would go through the 2000 the first case or whatever. And then I think if I was going to debate it, I think the most fun thing to do is if you want to build a conspiracy that Epstein was killed, it would 100% have been Donald Trump that did it, guaranteed, 100%.
No, absolutely, yeah. And you had the good list yesterday. You ran it down pretty well.
Yeah, 100%.
So if it does come up to you, yeah. All right. Okay, that was it.
Okay, love you.
Have a good day. Bye.
He didn't say it back.
You would see it.
But we were told that the cameras were down.
Well, I don't know who said that,
but that was in the news.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that. Dog, it was in the... Was he already the FBI director at this point? Does nobody read anything at all anymore? Like, now I'm not even sure, like, if PhDs or if... Like, does anybody ever read anything? Or who writes anything? Like, how much of a loser are you if you're writing these massive reports that literally not a single... I guess just me. I'm here to make your job matter. I will read. If it's one of the narrow subjects that we cover, I will try to read, okay, what you write. My God.
It was in the news. It's also in the OIG's actual report, like the government report.
And that's nice. At least I'll cite this. Okay.
Admits that most of the cameras were not recording. Now, I'm going to show...
Oh, and he gets that right, too. All of the cameras were supposedly running, but I think half or less were recording.
Show you which cameras were and were not reporting. I'm going to show you the exact angles of these cameras. But I want to draw your attention to one of the weirdest things in all of this footage, which is just the fact that there's a minute of it missing. You're going to want to look at this time, and you'll see in about 3 seconds, it will jump and the framing will change. So there you can see there was a cut or some kind of edited footage. And it obviously begs the question, why is there a minute missing from the FBI's like prove it tape? But also, what does this tape even prove? As I said, this is not Epstein's cell, nor is this his cell. We're going to show you what that actually looks like.
Like the fact that this is happening right at midnight, I'm going to assume there's some software thing or whatever. Like, would they really explicitly and deliberately cut that 1 minute of footage and leave it in? That would just be so stupid. I don't know.
Here's the framing we see. And now we're going to compare that to the official report, June 2023, of Epstein's cell. They lay out a structure of the jail cell and the jail itself. And here you can see it's a 2-leveled system. There's a lower tier, there's an upper tier, and Epstein was in the L tier, okay? Here is where...
So is it the theory that they went into a cell, killed him, and then staged this in a minute? It's kind of like lab leak. There's always like 4 or 5 theories that people are jumping back and forth between at any point in time. I've heard everything from... An inmate killed him, like opened a cell door, went and killed him. The cops went over and killed him, like the prison guards. He killed himself, but he was forced to do it by somebody threatening him. Like people will retreat or move between very fluidly every conspiracy theory simultaneously, depending upon what part of the, like who they're arguing against. You know?
The camera actually was that we're seeing. We're going to go ahead and go through this so you can see that's what it looks like. There's upper floor, lower floor.
Consider that someone who would try to exploit the cameras being down every day between 11 and 12 a.m., if this is in fact a regular maintenance process, you really think you could run into somebody's cell and then strangle them, not like snap their neck, but just strangle them with no struggle signs and get out and everything in under 60 seconds?
Epstein was located on the upper floor in what's called the L tier, okay, which is right here. You can see it even better from...
Imagine killing yourself in the L tier. Fuck me, dude.
Here's Epstein's cell. Here's the hallway. And right here is the camera, which was not recording. Unlike what Kash Patel sort of insinuates that they're going to release that footage. They don't have that footage. According to them, the recording wasn't working. It was streaming, but not recording. The footage apparently had the DVR system stopped working about 10 days before all of this happened.
Be Epstein, chilling in his cell. Clintons come in, forcibly cover you in oil. They leave. That was weird, but okay. At least they didn't kill me. The sprinkler turns on. Shoot upwards and breakneck on ceiling.
you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein. Back to you on that.
Good one.
This is in their own report. That's not me saying that.
Remember, please explain how he got the knife. Well, he hung himself. What are we talking about? Was there a knife in his cell? I don't remember if that was the case or not. Are you talking about the pen? Because I think he had a couple pens that he wasn't supposed to have. No knife. Was it a pen or a writing utensil? I thought he had something that he wasn't supposed to have. Oh yeah. Inmate 3 told the OIG that Epstein was allowed to sleep on the floor, which he said was unusual for the SHU, where that was not normally allowed. Inmate 3 said Epstein also had 2 extra blankets, which no other inmate had. You're not supposed to give people blankets because they can hang themselves with them, as well as 2 pens, which other inmates were not allowed to have. Epstein would ask for things, and if the CO said no, Epstein would tell them that he was writing down their name and providing the information to his lawyer. According to Inmate 3, the COs were on eggshells around Epstein. Inmate 3 said that when he left the SHU on August 9th, 2019, there was an orange cloth twisted around the ladder, strings on the side of the ladder, and a string tied across the bed. According to Inmate 3, one night he woke up, saw Epstein fidgeting with the clothesline. It was like, bro, what are you up to? Epstein said, nothing much, dog. Just trying to fix my clothesline. But Inmate 3 told him no and flushed the clothesline down the toilet. Epstein's return, hold on. Epstein first became cellmates upon Epstein's return to the SHU following suicide watch on psychological observation. Inmate 3 asked Epstein, please don't kill yourself, while Inmate 3 was his cellmate because Inmate 3 had a chance to go home soon. In response, Epstein told Inmate 3 not to worry, and that he's not going to kill himself right now. He's going to wait and see how Destiny responds to his $5 million demand, and then he'll decide after the holidays. Wow, what? Crazy, what?
All of this happened. This is in their own report. That's not me saying that. Around July 29th, I believe, it stopped recording.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say this before, because I will remind you every single time. None of the conspiracies were true. All of them were lies. Every deep state conspiracy was fucking bullshit. There was no Hunter Biden, Ukraine shit. That was all bullshit. There was no Biden, show cop, whatever bullshit. That was all bullshit. All of this Epstein shit was all bullshit. There is no Fauci, coronavirus. All of that was fucking bullshit. Every single one of these conspiracies, no voter fraud, that was fucking bullshit. All of them were fucking bullshit. Every deep state conspiracy was fucking bullshit. There is no military industrial complex. Clearly, that's fucking bullshit. There was no, it's all of it was fucking bullshit. All of it was bullshit.
That around July 29th, I believe, it stopped recording as it was supposed to. Now, here's where you can see what actually was recording the day of. So you can see this is the camera that we have access to, and it's looking this way. So that camera footage we see is not of Epstein's cell at all. You can't see it. Instead, this is the guard station over here, and the staircase is like this little, like 3 pixels right there. So it's an actual joke if you think that this footage somehow had a perfect line of sight of Epstein's jail cell and you couldn't have run an op, right? Even during the...
Oh, shit. Apparently people did recover. Somebody has posted the original footage with that minute added back. What is this? Who's that? What the fuck? How did she get in there? Holy shit. Please explain how the military industrial complex is bullshit. Because if they were running things, we'd still be shipping unlimited fucking weapons to Ukraine. So apparently all that was just a fucking lie.
The missing 1 minute window because, we had a perfect line of sight on his door. They don't. And the cameras were not recording. That's right here. And it's crazy. The FBI director is spreading misinformation going, I don't know who told you that. You guys told us that.
Super interested in all the COVID stuff. Worked in a research lab working on antiviral therapeutics. So it's right up my alley. Can I just say, okay, the first job I ever wanted when I was thinking of a career when in grade school, what I want to be when I grow up, I played this fucking game called Parasite Eve. And I was like, I want to be a microbiologist because I thought cells were cool. Obviously, there are degrees of complexity that you can get into when you study anything. But even in just the little bit that I've looked at COVID, can I just say that the whole virus process, my God, it's crazy interesting. I guess I didn't think about it much. I thought the virus came in and then it used your RNA to produce like more virus RNA, and then like I don't know, that just goes to the other cells and blows your shit up. But it's like the fact that the way that it gets into the cells really interesting. The fact that it goes in and then starts shutting off your other ribosomes, and then the fact that when the RNA goes in, it starts printing basically like ops, like like oppositional ribosomes. Like it makes its own little proteins to come together to print off its own RNA, and like a little secluded bubble that it makes. The way that it works is just super interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's really, really, really fascinating. Holy shit. Where did the first viruses come from though? Well, like why, whoever started that seems kind of cringe. Like why would there be these like insanely intricate, complicated strands? Oh, I bet they grew up with us. They must have, because way back in the day, creatures and everything would have been incredibly simple. And so an early virus would probably be like 100 nucleotides wrong. Like it's some foreign RNA that gets in your body and then like makes you gay or something. It's like, fuck, I got fucked. Because it was like single cell creatures, probably without even nucleuses or whatever, or nuclei.
These cameras right here are streaming, but not recording. You can see it right there. There's Epstein's cell. That's the camera that would have been on him. It's not there. And yet he goes in front of millions of people and tells people otherwise. It's so irresponsible.
And if they had gotten into the cell, you would see it.
But we were told that the cameras were down.
Well, I don't know who said that.
But that was in the news.
Yeah, again, it wasn't just in the news. It was in the government's report. Okay.
Bro. Kelly Jean is cringing right now. Okay, I will say, because I tried to go over stuff yesterday and I suck at I just suck at science. Kelly did fucking destroy me. Okay. I didn't know anything about chemistry or whatever. And finally she's educated me. Do you guys know when you talk about whether or not a thing is volatile, do you know what that means, guys?
Sodium's not highly volatile. It's like if you were going to put all of the elements in a line of volatility, it's somewhere in the middle.
Fluorine was like his ops communities and that they were better LeMayo. He called his community highly unstable and highly volatile sodium. And then said the other communities were less like this. This is
like highly volatile things are like things that are already at gas, like room temperature, right?
Oh, I didn't see. I learned something new every day, you know?
So that's that. So now we're going to see the camera that we're actually getting footage of, right? So this is a video. You can see that's cell 46. Here's the camera that was recording, and you can see it highlighted here. You'll also be able to see that the staircase is partially obstructed because of this wall right here, okay? So these tiny 3 pixels are seeing the edge of the staircase. Here's where they even highlight it for you. Again, this is not my diagram. This is the government's own diagram. This is the stairway to Epstein's cell.
Cool.
Here's the officer station, as we stated. And here's the non-recording camera. Again, this is the government, and looking at Epstein's cell. I
had to write a whole subreddit, schizo post about becomes position. Oh, are you cynical Brit? Or I don't know why I just asked that. I didn't know you posted on the subreddit. Somebody sent me a big ass email about too. Guys, I don't profess to know anything about chemistry. It's not a subject that I liked at school. I've explicitly said I hated it. Somebody sent me a big old email about a whole bunch of chemistry that I don't know. I don't care. Okay. But
to them, there had been catastrophic disk failures and no recordings would have been available after July 29th, 2019. And of course, all this happened on August 9th to the 10th, 2019. Now, an important thing is this mystery man that comes up in the footage.
Mystery man.
Previously, I was kind of thinking this footage kind of didn't show anything. It definitely doesn't show that nobody was there because you can't really see it. The important cameras are missing and there are ways to get in or through the staircase without...
Schizo posting, PhD chemistry. Yes, we do use the word stability for chemical stability. Just to be clear, when I said stable, I was just thinking like reactive or not reactive. That's all I was thinking of. I wasn't like I was using a layman's term because I wasn't publishing a paper. But also, if I'm talking about that group, I feel like it's pretty obvious what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure that is the most reactive group on the periodic table of elements because of the electron bullshit reasons. I think that's it. I'm not professing to know anything more about chemistry than I was just making a joke about communities being unstable because a community being unreactive doesn't really make much sense.
People seeing you, which we'll kind of go over here. I think the idea that this was a perfect view of the staircase is just completely wrong, obviously. But there was also a whole narrative by the government that everybody was in their jail cell by 8 p.m. This is according to the staff. They say at approximately 8 p.m., August 9th, all inmates were locked in their cells for the evening, and there's no indication that any other inmate could have gotten out of their cells. Epstein didn't have an inmate, so hence the idea is there's no way anyone could have gotten in there because everyone was locked up, right? Of course, we know now that some of the guards allegedly were either asleep or they deny that and they say they may have dozed off. Either way, what is for sure is that they didn't perform their checkups on the inmates.
Not hating, but why do we even care about the Epstein shit? For a few reasons. So the reason why people cared before is because everybody wants to believe there's some grand conspiracy of billionaires raping kids. It's just everybody's obsessed. I don't know. It's like the new anti-Semitism, where for some reason in all of it, well, I guess anti-Semitism is also the new anti-Semitism because a lot of it involves the Mossad and Jews as well. So I don't know. Maybe this all rolled into it. But just this idea that there's this huge group of billionaire people who are like kids all the time, and they're like, people were obsessed with it. Remember the Podesta stuff when they talked about cheese pizza, and if they're who's ordering that much cheese pizza? This must be coded slang for child porn or for children, or they're talking about like ordering kids for the Clintons to feast upon and rape and murder and drink their blood, and like everybody's, and the Diddy stuff is more evidence that there's a giant billionaire conspiracy ring. It's just people are obsessed. People are obsessed with those types of stories. So the Trump admin, no, I shouldn't say the Trump admin. A lot of maggot people floated these conspiracies for a long time because they thought they could rope the Clintons into it. People on the far left like the idea that billionaires are evil, so they bought into it. And now that Trump is in the government, remember one of the things I said? Remember what I screeched about at the beginning of the term? They cannot cry about the deep state anymore. They are the deep state. They can't cry like they did in term one, where they said, oh, the deep state's still controlling them, because now it's Trump's people, his cabinet members, his government. He gets to do everything that he wants. He's fired all the people he wants. He's got Elon going through everything. They can't blame the deep state anymore. And now that they can't blame the deep state, now they have to come out and kind of be honest about some things. Like, okay, guys, we got nothing on the Epstein.
In fact, they falsified records to this, and they say no CO had checked on Epstein from approximately 10:40 p.m. on August 9th until 6:30 a.m. when Epstein was found. But this 10:40 p.m. is going to become extremely important because it turns out there was someone, what looks to be an inmate, out of his cell at 10:40 p.m. And the question is, who is that person? You can see this at 10:38 p.m. Remember, everyone's supposed to have been in their jail cell for 2.5 hours at this point. No prisoners. You can see a guard goes over to somewhere out of sight. We can't see it. None of the cameras were recording except for this one. And then moments later, we see a little bit of orange near the staircase. Now I'm gonna have to zoom into this. It's extremely hard to see, but you can see a little pixel of orange makes its way up the staircase, right? And then we're gonna see the guard return to his chair, ostensibly locking someone up maybe at that time, but who? Who is that person, right? Because previously we were told that everyone was in their jail cell at 8 p.m. 2.5 hours later, the guards take someone up, or it looks like that.
Jesus Christ. Is this supposed to be lab, or is this supposed to be Jesus?
You know, it's hard to see, but there's some sort of orange something going.
That's Kelly? Oh, god damn.
Up the staircase to Epstein's cell block. But then if we cross-reference that with this recent memo, we can surmise who that was. It says the FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed from the time Epstein was locked in his cell around 10:40 p.m. on August 9th until 6:30 a.m. Nobody entered any of the tiers of the shoe. So we're supposed to believe that Epstein now is that guy, the mystery man, who's outside of his cell 2.5 hours after lockdown. It's just sort of tossed in this memo here without any explanation, but it's never mentioned in the OIG's original report in 2023. In fact, the only thing that is mentioned is that Epstein was allowed an unmonitored phone call, which was against the rules, but he was allowed it anyways, and he returned to his cell after the call, which was at 7 p.m. So again, we were led to believe he was in his jail cell at 8 p.m. by the official report, and then now the FBI kind of come out and in one line said something quite remarkable, which is that several hours later, Epstein's returning to his cell, or somebody is. All we know, at least from this footage, all you can actually surmise from this is that somebody walked up those stairs at 10:40 p.m. with...
That is actually a discrepancy. That is a big deal that the OIG should explain. I wonder how they figured out. I wonder if they just interviewed the staff. Well, no, they couldn't have, because they knew that the staff was lying about shit. The OIG also found the SHU staff did not conduct any 30-minute rounds after 10:40. At approximately 8 p.m. on August 9th, SHU inmates were locked in their cells for the night, including Epstein, who was without a cellmate. Research for Epstein's cell following his death revealed Epstein had excess prison blankets, linens, and clothing in his cell, and that some had been ripped to create nooses. The OIG also found that SHU did not conduct any 30-minute rounds after about 10:40 p.m. on August 9th, and that none of the required SHU inmate counts were conducted after 4 p.m. on August 9th. This 10:40 p.m. thing. The OIG reviewed the video and found that between approximately 10:40 on August 9th and about 6:30, no one was seen entering Epstein's cell tier from the SHU common area. All SHU inmates after 8 p.m., including Epstein, were locked in their cells for the evening, and we found no evidence to the contrary. Wait, can somebody link me that FBI report?
All you can actually surmise are Epstein's returning.
Oh my God. I wonder if this is just sloppy writing from the FBI, where they're just like, the FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed that from the time Epstein was locked in his cell around 10:40 on August 9th, 2019, until around 6:30 a.m. the next morning, nobody entered any of the tiers in the SHU. I wonder if this is sloppy writing, where they're like, Epstein was locked in his cell, and then the last guard did the round at 10:40. Like, Epstein got locked in his cell at 8 or 7, and then the guard did his round at 10:40, and between 10:40 and 6:30, nobody entered any of the tiers. I wonder if this is sloppy writing more so than them saying that they had evidence of him outside of his cell there, unless they actually make an because that would be a weird thing. That would be a big discrepancy. Oh, it's a 2-page report. So this is even a real report. That's a really big discrepancy to just orange man in the vid. The problem is I don't know if we know this is an orange guy.
Around 10:40 that my thing. Obviously, we locking someone up, maybe, right? Really hard to see, but you can see of orange near the staircase. Now I'm gonna have to zoom in.
It's so hard to tell what the fuck is happening here because like the bit rate on this video is so bad.
Extremely hard to.
Like this could be artifacting from a different color or something like that.
And then moments later,
somebody said that on the actual website where they released the video, that you could look at video 2, and video 2 looked a little different. I wonder if we can see if it looks the exact same. This is at 10:40 p.m. Okay. Oh look, there's a thing there. Oh wait, is that the exact same thing? Wait, hold on. If we see a similar artifact like that going up the stairs over and over again, then I think we can safely say that is an inmate walking up the stairs. I think this is 10:33. Come on, what is the date on these fucking cameras that the resolution and the bitrate is this poor? Oh, like we see like that orange thing appears here and then it appears down here. Like what's happening there? Hold on. So it's 10:39:22. Okay. Wait, where are we now? I don't even know if this video is playing right now. Oh yeah, it is. So like it disappears there. Like there's another orange thing that appears up there. Like it seems appropriately like a person walking, maybe like the speed. You need like a video analyzer. Like look at like when are the keyframes starting to see if it could be an artifacting error, or find out if there's another person that walks up the stairs. If we could get like if it looks the same, would be interesting. This is at 2:58:20. So this video is brightened a bit. I don't know why. Like a thing, like that little orange thing appears up there, and then it goes like it seems like it is moving, like it's walking, like the step, maybe, and then it keeps going up. I don't know how high up these stairs go. I don't know. The FBI needs to follow up on this 2-page report. Whatever. I wouldn't even call this a report. Like this looks more like shoddy writing than anything else. I don't think they're saying that they saw somebody else moving up the stairs. They're just saying that from the time that he was locked in his cell, and then at like from 10:40 to 6:30, nobody entered any of the tiers in the. That's what this reads like. They just wrote this sloppily, but they should clarify.
We see a little bit of orange near the staircase. Now I'm gonna have to zoom into this. It's extremely hard to see, but you can see a little pixel of orange makes its way up the staircase, right? And then we're gonna see the guard return to his chair, ostensibly locking someone up maybe at that time, but who? Who is that person, right? Because previously we were told that everyone was in their jail cell at 8 p.m. 2.5 hours later, the guards take someone up, or it looks like that. You know, it's hard to see, but there's some sort of orange something going up the staircase to Epstein's cell block. But then if we cross-reference that with this recent memo, we can surmise who that was. It says the FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed from the time Epstein was locked in his cell around 10.
Oh my God, I was about to say Epstein. CoffeeZilla makes the same kind of conclusion that I did. Correction, at 11:51, I said that the FBI's narrative is that Epstein was locked in his cell at around 10:40, and imply that means that he was put there at 10:40, linking it to the orange we see at the stairs at 10:38. It is possible the FBI only means he was in his cell and was locked there at 10:40, having already been in the cell since 8. That's what I think it was. It's just sloppily written. But I am curious, like the thing that does look like something moving up the stairs. It could be artifacting on the video compression, or it could be something else. But
40 p.m. on August 9th until 6:30 a.m., nobody entered any of the tiers of the shoe. So we're supposed to believe that Epstein now is that guy, the mystery man, who's outside of his cell 2.5 hours after lockdown. It's just sort of tossed in this memo here without any explanation, but it's never mentioned in the OIG's original report in 2023. In fact, the only thing that is mentioned is that Epstein was allowed an unmonitored phone call, which was against the rules, but he was allowed it anyways, and he returned to his cell after the call, which was at 7 p.m. So again, we were led to believe he was in his jail cell at 8 p.m. by the
orange is Trump's hair.
Official report. And then now the FBI's kind of come out and in one line said something quite remarkable, which is that several hours later, Epstein's returning to his cell, or somebody is. All we know, at least from this footage, all you can actually surmise from this is that somebody walked up those stairs at 10:40 p.m. with the guard, because the guard leaves his desk, some orange jumpsuit goes up there, and then the guard comes back to his desk. Now, I want to be clear. What
could be the trigger for the artifact, though? I don't even pretend to try to talk. Video compression is insanely complex tech, and like everything, or not complex, but there's like a lot that goes into video compression. I don't know. It could be a lot of, who knows?
IG report mentions 10:40 p.m. several times as basically the last time that a CEO checked on Epstein. That's how it originally was framed.
But the biggest argument, in my opinion, against it being an artifact is that it seems to move like somebody walking up the stairs, I think. Like, it looks like it. Like, that's what it That's what it does look like, somebody walking up the stairs, like it's moving at the appropriate speed. I'm guessing so.
In fact, instead, they basically say that Noel, one of the guards, was actually carrying linen or inmate clothing up to the L tier, which was the last time any CO approached the only entrance to the shoe tier in which Epstein was housed. So their theory at the time, I guess the theory was they were carrying up, they say inmate clothing. Basically, the idea is they're carrying up an orange jumpsuit. And that's why you see orange there at 10:40 p.m. That's the official story in 2023, was that they were carrying Epstein, somebody's clothing up. Now we are finding out that that wasn't carrying clothing up. That was actually Epstein himself.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would just explain who it was. Wait, but then should we see him on camera after 10:40 moving to some other place? Is that?
For some reason.
Oh, God, true. Is Kelly Jane about to become an expert on video compression?
Clothing up. Now we are finding out that that wasn't carrying clothing up. That was actually Epstein himself, for some reason, was locked in his cell at 10:40 p.m.
My only hesitation when it comes to the subject is that Trump seems particularly vulnerable and sensitive whenever it's brought up to him. I'll accept the facts of the matter, but I don't know. I think that's also very easily explained. It's because Trump was friends with him. Epstein was a billionaire dude. He was friends with a lot of people. Like, my guess is most billionaires are going to be connected to a lot of people around the world. Trump was friends with him. He absolutely was. Trump also probably thought that young girls were hot. The guy is literally, talking about raping women on fucking audio. And I'm sure he made what we would say inappropriate comments now about, younger women. I seriously doubt Trump had any kids, because I think that would have came out by now. This guy has so many fucking enemies that if Trump was fucking kids, we would have heard about it by now. But like, it kind of looks bad, like when everybody disavows me and donut operators like, oh yeah, we hated him when he was here. People just want to like distance themselves from kind of like weird shit, if they don't want to be associated. So I think that's why Trump doesn't like talking about the Epstein stuff at all.
Way after lockdown, and we don't know why or how any of this happened. And then we know from the same report that the guards made false statements and falsified records saying that they had made mandatory rounds and inmate counts when in fact they had not. So does any of this mean for sure that the conspiracy theorists are right? No. It just means that this footage that they released and they hyped up and they said on the biggest podcast platform in the world was going to prove everything, proves nothing, and actually raises more questions because it contradicts the official narrative that has been said, which is that everyone was in lockdown when they should have been and no one could have possibly entered the cell block. But actually someone did. Now they're saying that's Epstein in a memo after hours for some mysterious reason.
Looks like it, seems a little like it looks like what? Wait, what part?
The night of his death. Why? No answers. But don't look into it. You're conspiracy. You're crazy guy. By the way, got a shout out. Last chance to get the merch. We've only got a few days left on it. If you want Crime is Legal merch, I think it's a fitting video to put this in. Go to coffeezilla.store, coffeezilla.store. Okay, bye.
Jesus. What happened to the window on Epstein's cell door? It's not the same door. Yeah, read the number, dipshit. It's not the same door. She knew she had to deceive the public, so she rather took off the cross that she was so proud of. Okay. Given the evidence my investigators have seen, this reeks of a cover-up. Your investigators? From a U.S. Senator from Oregon? What does that even mean? Okay. All I'm saying is, I don't think today would have happened if this was our Attorney General. Oh my God.